بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. I praise and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I ask Allah to raise the rank and the status of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his kind al and family and companions, and to protect his Muslim nation from everything he feared for it. And I ask Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala to grant us all the sincere intention that we intend by our session to draw close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to seek the reward from Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, to earn the ridwan, the pleasure of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, and to draw close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala finds all of you in a state of strong iman, and that Allah grants all of you afiyah in your body and in your family and in your livelihood and in your religion. May Allah give you all al-afiyah, well-being. Today, for this post-Fajr reflection, I wanted to address what I believe to be an important matter. And over this week, as we have been doing our best, and may Allah accept our intentions and make our efforts fruitful, we've been doing our best to present to our communities the voices of the people of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, from the African American community, from the Black community around the country. And alhamdulillah, we've got a great response from the people in following and sharing and engaging. And I think this is a good start, a beginning to something, if we are steadfast and continue, a beginning to a change in the discourse in our community and ultimately in our country. But as I'm listening to all of our discussions and, the different backgrounds and experiences of our teachers, many things came to my mind. And everyone should, when they're listening, extract benefits which relate to them, what they see, what they observe. And I'm going to share two quotes with you that two contemporary scholars mentioned, and I think they are beneficial, that I want you all to write down. One of them, they were talking about Ibn Taymiyyah. Ibn Taymiyyah is a very significant figure in Islamic history. He was born in the year 661 after Hijrah, and he died in the year 728 after Hijrah in the city of Damascus, Syria. Ibn Taymiyyah, he was, by the agreement of the people of his time and those after him, a prolific writer and scholar in the Hanbali school of Islamic jurisprudence and al-fiqh. He was a explainer of the Quran, a mufassir. He was a scholar of hadith, muhaddith. And he was very strong in those areas. And I didn't hesitate to say he was a scholar in those fields. But Ibn Taymiyyah's career as a scholar was tarnished or tainted by his deviation in the area of al-aqaid, in the area of belief. And as the great Shafi'i jurist, faqih, Ahmad ibn Hajar al-Haytami, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said about him that he contradicted the ijma', the consensus of Muslims, in around 60 cases, 60 different issues, mas'ala. Some of them in al-usul, some of them in the areas of the belief, and some of them in the area of al-furu', in the branches of the religion. And Ibn Taymiyyah was a very controversial figure whom many in our modern era took their understanding of beliefs from. So the root of a lot of the deviations and contradictions of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah in the creed, in the area of al-Aqidah, are taken from the writings of Ahmad ibn Taymiyyah. And we have been afflicted in the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam with the seditions of al-Wahhabiyya through those deviations in the creed by Ahmad ibn Taymiyyah, who lived around 800 years ago. What I want to discuss with you today is what one scholar mentioned about Ibn Taymiyyah. He said his career as a scholar is an example that a man may be excellent and excel in one area of study, one field of study, and suffer from radical deficiencies in another. And he said the index by which you measure his scholarship is what the imams of that field say about him. It's very important. And I'll repeat it in a way. They said about Ibn Taymiyyah that his career is an example to show us that a man or a person may be excellent, may excel in one field of study, but suffer from radical deficiencies in another field. So I mentioned to you that Ibn Taymiyyah, he was prolific in writing in al-fiqh, especially Hanbali fiqh, in Quran commentary, in weighing and judging hadith. He was excellent in these fields. As al-Dhahabi, the great hadith scholar, said about him, that he never saw anyone who was faster in recalling verses of the Quran or a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to support his claims than Ibn Taymiyyah. Subhanallah. And this is, al-Dhahabi is a biographer and a hadith scholar who is known to be a specialist in this field. And he was a student of Ibn Taymiyyah. And he said about him that I've never saw no one as fast as him in recalling Quranic verses in hadith to defend his positions. But nevertheless, despite that, the scholars in the field of Aqidah, in the field of Ilm al-Kalam, they considered Ibn Taymiyyah as a deviant, as a misguided and misguiding person in the areas of Aqidah. And this is important to think about. No one denies his specialty in these fields of Hanbali fiqh or in his skill in Quran or his skill in hadith, but he, in the field of al-Aqidah, tenets of faith, he is not relied upon. In fact, by the agreement of the scholars of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah in his time and thereafter, his writings are considered rejected in the field of Aqidah. And and he was placed in prison, where he died by the agreement of the chief judges of all four schools of thought in relation to his deviance in these cases related to creed and some related to practice. And when I say that, the chief judges, the chief judge, Qadi al-Qudat, of the Hanafis, the Malikis, the Shafis, and the Hanbalis in his time, they wrote a decree that he should be placed in prison until he dies. And that should show you something, that the scholars of Islam were not hesitant to respond to issues of deviance in the creed of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. The other statement was something that my teacher, Sheikh Samir, he told me one day, and he said to us in a group, he said that our problem in our Muslim communities today is that we lack specialization in the various Islamic sciences. He said, I would like that we would have people who are specialists in their field of study, rather than having people who have a summarized understanding of the various Islamic sciences and they teach in sciences that they're not qualified to teach in, or they're not well trained in. And if anyone knows about Sayyidi Sheikh Samir, especially in the Quranic recitation, he is very strict, very precise, and he is among the specialists in that field. And he mentioned one day about al-hadith He said that what I want from you is not a lot of narration. I don't want you just to have riwayah. I narrate from Sheikh Samir this, I narrate from Sheikh Samir this, that. He said, I don't want that from you. He said, what I want from you is understanding and comprehension and excellence in whatever you study. In other words, I want from you a diraya. I want from you understanding of what you narrate, not just narrating. So in other words, you can repeat, you can recite your chains of narration, you can repeat the hadith or the lessons, but you don't understand them. And you don't understand the content of them. That's not what I want from you. I want you to understand even if you don't have a lot to narrate. And I thought about that statement when he said that. And as I was listening throughout the last few days and weeks to our teachers, and alhamdulillah, may Allah reward us all, I realized the significance of the statement about Ibn Taymiyyah when the scholar mentioned that a man may be proficient or excellent in one field and suffer from radical deficiencies in another, and the statement of Sheikh Samir that we need to be specialized in areas of study and not just have a understanding in a simplistic way of matters. And what disturbs me, and I say it straight, it disturbs me that in our communities, specialization is not sought. We have this concept that learning is not important. And whenever we don't want to learn something, we have the tendency to brush its importance off, to lessen its significance. And a lot of it is due to our physical and intellectual laziness. And I think this is something we should address. Many of us, for multiple reasons, haven't had the opportunity to learn our Islamic religion in a systematic, organized manner. So we learn some things, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and that goes on for years, and we have mastery of nothing. And it shows when we are pushed in different areas that we don't know. And because of the nature of how we're taught, we're not quick to say, listen, I don't know this. This is not my area. I need to stop here. And why is that significant? Because at the end of the day, we're trying to guide people to Al-Islam. And we want to ensure that Islam is transferred to succeeding generations in the most excellent way. And it's important. Oftentimes we watch the thread, and as I watch the thread, many of you don't know that there are learned people sometimes. What I mean learned, I mean they're supposed to study. They went overseas, they studied in areas where they should have learned. And when you listen to them sometimes, we're like, where did you study? That comes to your mind sometimes. Where did you study? And what did you study? Right? And I realize also there is this concept. When I'm weak in the field, I undermine the significance of the field. So if I'm not good at reciting the Quran, I'll use another thing to negate my deficiencies in the Quran. If I'm deficient in hadith, I'll undermine the importance of hadith. And the worst of that undermining is when we are weak in aqidah, weak in tenets of faith, weak in the Islamic creed. We try to act like the Islamic creed is not important. This is a problem. And that goes for any science. I'm talking specifically about aqidah, but it goes into any science. And what happens is it undermines these sciences in the mind of the common people. So if the people are learners and I give them the idea that learning the Islamic sciences is not important, it's extremism, and mastering fields of Islamic studies is not important, this is a crime. It's a crime. And we as a people cannot afford to continue with this crime. Black people in America, especially in the inner cities, cannot remain ignorant of the Islamic sciences. This has to stop. And we can't control the world, but each and every one of us, I want you to take your Islam serious. Stop bull crapping with Islam. The form of Islam will not save future generations. We need a reality. And I'm saying this because it hurts when I watch us waste the ni'mah that Allah has given us because of our laziness. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to make a dua. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from laziness. Did you hear what I said? Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from laziness. And he also sought refuge from being a coward, cowardice. I seek refuge. You know, we say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. We seek refuge in shaitan. The Prophet said, A'udhu bika min al-kasl. I seek refuge in you from being lazy. And studying, as we listened to yesterday, Sheikh Hamza Abdul Malik and Sheikh Abdul Karim Yahya, and the day before that, Sheikh Aisha Prime. And they talked about their journey to seek the knowledge and how they spent decades, years seeking knowledge, years traveling, going through hard times. As Sheikh Abdul Karim mentioned, that I used to sit, and I know that feeling because I had the same thing, that I would sit sometimes in this position of the sitting of a student and my feet would go numb. Often, I know that feeling when he said it. Where we would be sitting with our teachers, reading and studying, and sometimes your legs would go numb from sitting on the floor so long because we wasn't sitting in chairs. That wasn't our case. Sit in a chair and be comfortable. Sit on the floor. Sometimes the floor would be hard. Sometimes the floor would be no rug. Sometimes we'd be in the dirt outside, sitting, listening to our teachers. Writing notes because we didn't have books. Have to write every single thing. Every case, we have to write it. No book. I had teachers, as well as them, teachers who would not allow us to have a book. You must write. The way you preserve this knowledge is by your pen. And you use it and you write down everything. But there was not allowed to have laziness. And one of our teachers, he was admonishing the students. And he said, are you not shy before Allah? And I mentioned this to you. That the people of misguidance, the people of innovation are so energetic, have so much energy in spreading their misguidance, and the people of truth are so lazy with their truth. This is something that we need to get across to each other. We like entertainment, Islamictainment. Our deen is for fun and games. When the deen is going to be that knowledge and that practice and that spiritual state that you're going to have to fight the Dajjal with. One day, if you live, you're going to be in the army of the Mahdi. You can't be a lazy, unlearned person. Your job is to call to Allah, and you cannot do that in a state of ignorance. Don't minimize the status of knowledge, the status of learning, especially the most important science in Islam, which is the science of al-Aqidah. There is no science in Islam more important than Aqidah. Not the Quran, not the Hadith, not fiqh, not tasawwuf, not Arabic language, not grammar, not seerah. None of that is more important than understanding the correct belief in Islam. Don't fool yourself. As Imam al-Ghazali, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, the worship is not valid until you know the one you're worshiping. This is important. This is not something light. You tell me and you believe, let's talk about this, let's talk about that, where you got people believing that Allah is in heaven and Allah moves and Allah got limbs, and you telling me that's not important? What kind of Islam have you learned? Tell me, where's your understanding of Islam? Not only is it important, it is a case of scholarly consensus, ijma, that you cannot believe these things about Allah. And we have people teaching people that about Allah, and then we have others who say, well, that's not important. We shouldn't debate. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. What is wrong with you? Where did you learn from? Or is it the case for us? Is it our case that we may excel in some fields and suffer from radical deficiencies in others? And we should ask ourselves that, each and every one of us. And if we are deficient in fields of study, we should ask ourselves why, and we should become diligent in acquiring knowledge in those areas where we're deficient. We should not ignore them. We should not undermine them. We should not belittle their significance. Rather, we should say, as my teacher told us in the beginning, the first thing he said to us when we were learning, the word I don't know is half of knowledge. Kalimatu la a'lam nisfuddin. And this is important. And we should be mature enough to allow each one of us when we're in the area of something I don't know is to say, I don't know. I don't know. And we should accept that. And we should praise the person who says he doesn't know. We live in a time where we're confronted with all kinds of kufr and innovations in tenets of faith. If we wrote the creed of Imam, we studied the creed of Imam Abu Ja'far at-Tahawi. And I want you, we started and we will continue because I'm realizing something from these discussions that I'm guilty. And I'm saying what I'm saying, I'm guilty because it is a crime to have knowledge and withhold it from the people. And sometimes we follow the trend and we get into Islamictainment ourselves. And we give people what they want, not what they need. So we'll have a person who I want to be a mufassir. I want to explain the Quran. I want to be a hadith man. I want to learn tasawwuf. I want to be good in Arabic. And the guy don't even know what to believe about Allah. And we'll waste time teaching somebody Arabic who has a blasphemous beliefs, who has a incorrupt belief, that's not the priority. For him, he don't need to be learning Arabic. He needs to learn what to believe about Allah, what to believe about Islam. And then maybe later he should specialize in Arabic. But right now, you need to learn your belief correctly. You need to learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to learn about the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You need to learn your obligations. And this is another thing that we got to distinguish what is an obligation and what is recommended. Because we got people majoring in the recommended things and negligent in the obligatory things. Imam al-Tahawi, does that sound good? Okay. Let me go back. Allah. How is that? Is the sound clear again? Inshallah. Bismillah. Is the sound clear? Okay. So Imam al-Tahawi, rahimahullah, and let me see if we've been following quickly. I like to test you. When did Imam al-Tahawi die? In what year? And where? That's a quick question. MashaAllah, Isa Abdul Zahir. MashaAllah, 321. Abu Hassan, that 150 was the death of Imam Abu Hanifa. At Tahawi, he died 321 after Hijrah. So Imam Tahawi, he started his creed. And if you get at Tahawi, you'll get the importance of what I'm saying. The first introduction of At-Tahawiyya, he said, هذا ذكر بيان عقيدة أهل السنة والجماعة. This is a mentioning of the elucidation of the creed of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. This is an elucidation of the creed of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Then he explains what is Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. After telling you his route, his chain of narration in a summarized way, where he learned the creed of Ahl Sunnah, he said it's the creed of the scholars of the religion, Abu Hanifa, Abu Yusuf and Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Shaybani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And then he explained the creed of Ahl Sunnah. And he mentioned the creed of Ahl Sunnah. And then at the end, the last line of At-Tahawiyah, he said, we ask Allah Ta'ala to keep us resolute in our faith and to end our lives with it. This is Imam At-Tahawi. That we ask Allah to make us firm. وَنَسَأَلُ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى أَنْ يُثَبِّتَنَا عَلَى الْإِيمَانِ وَيَخْتِمَ لَنَا بِهِ. We ask Allah to make us firm in our faith and to end our lives in Islam, on the faith, on the Aqidah of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. That's Imam At-Tahawi. He said, and to protect us from desires that differ, from scattered opinions and corrupt schools of thought. And then he named them. He said, like al-Mushabbiha, those who liken Allah to the creation. Al-Mu'tazila, those who had those beliefs like the Quran was created, like the servant creates his own actions. Like al-Jahmiya, those who deny the attributes of Allah. Like al-Jabriya, those who said the servants are compelled in their actions. Like al-Qadariya, those who denied predestination and destiny. And other than them who contradict as-Sunnah and al-Jama'ah, the way of the Prophet, and al-Jama'ah, the majority of the Muslim nation. Whoever contradicts that. And he said, they are, according to us, misguided and wicked. He said, وَهُمْ إِنْدَنَا دُلَالٌ وَأَرْضِيَاءٌ. They are misguided and wicked. وَبِاللَّهِ الْإِسْمَةُ وَالتَّوْفِيقِ. And with Allah is safety and protection and success. This is Imam At-Tahawi. He didn't say Aqidah is not important. He told you what is the Aqidah of Ahl Sunnah, and then he asked Allah to protect you from everyone who contradicted Ahl Sunnah. And he named them Al-Mushabbiha, Al-Mu'tazila, Al-Jahmiya, Al-Jabriya, Al-Qadariya. That's Imam At-Tahawi from the Salaf, one of the great Imams whose texts reach us with an unbroken chain of narration. How do you say that Aqidah is not important? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It is better for us to say, this is not my field of study. It's better. It's not my field of study. Why? And I need us to be careful. Serious, this is important. Don't underestimate the struggles of the oppressed. In our inner cities, in our inner cities, in the poor Black communities, among the biggest issues in misunderstanding Islam is the creed of the Wahhabiyah. In the prisons, there is nowhere most of our youth go and are suffering. A lot of Black men become Muslim. Those prisons are filled with the deviant creed of the Wahhabiyah. And they come back to our communities spilling that nonsense. And our communities have been decimated by these invalid creeds. And many, including some of you on this live, you know that you would listen to Sunni scholars, Wahhabi people, you all over the place, and no one tells you, no, you keep listening to this guy, you might end up falling into kufr listening to him. And it's not about personalities, because that's what people think it breaks down to. Oh, they hating on each other. As I heard some of the brothers with some of the most foolish talk, youngsters talking about, ball hogging and Kobe Bryant. Man, give me a break. This is our deen. What the heck does that have anything to do with it? That means you don't understand the significance of what we're talking about. You're worrying about who's the star of the Sheikhs and Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. They don't even have a place in this conversation. Come on, brothers. We're serious. We're not kids. We're fighting the enemies of Islam. And right now is jihadul bayan. It's the bayan of expression. You can't waste your time in that stuff. We gotta seriously learn our deen. Our children are at stake. We are losing our children to the world. It's not permissible. We got to get more serious. We're not kids. We're adults. We have children and grandchildren. We cannot take this stuff lightly. It's not a game. It's our life. Don't take it lightly. It's not lightly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran about the kuffar. He said they swear by Allah that they didn't. يَحْلِفُونَ بِاللَّهِ مَا قَالُوا وَلَقَدْ قَالُوا كَلِمَةُ الْكُفْرِ وَكَفَرُوا بَعْدَ إِسْلَامِهِمْ. Allah said they swear by Allah. They didn't say a bad word, but they said the word of kufr, disbelief, and they became disbelievers after having been Muslims. It's not a game. It's not a game. Ignorance will harm you. It's not a game. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the authentic hadith, إن العبد لا يتكلم بكلمة لا يرى بها بأسا يهوي بها في النار 70 خريفا. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said the person may utter a word, he deems nothing wrong with it. He utters a word, one word. He deems nothing wrong with it. La yara biha ba'sa. He sees nothing wrong with the word. And as a result of that word, he will fall the distance of 70 years in the hellfire. 70 years in the hellfire is the bottom of hell. Only the kuffar go there. This is serious. It's not a game. It's not a fad. And there's no comparison for Islam and the nonsense we connected to. There's no comparison. None. And among us, gotta be some serious men and women who are serious about this deen, who will give their life for this deen. This is serious. While we are just shucking and jiving, playing games, talking junk, people are planning to destroy us. Outside the deen and through the deen. Outside the deen with straight kufr, inside the deen with misguidance and deviation to move us from the sirat al-mustaqim. And you may ask sometimes, why is this guy so hard on Wahhabism? Let me tell you why, so you understand. We used to have an Islamic government. We had a caliphate. We had a sultanate. We had Islamic government that ruled the world for 700 years. 700 years. The then known world was ruled by Muslims of Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Ash'ira, Maturidiyah, following the madhahib of Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the four madhabs, people of Tasawwuf. And the British used the Wahhabi movement, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, and the Saud family to help destroy the Islamic Caliphate. As they fought them through the war with weapons, they also used the Wahhabis to destroy them with inside the religion. The Wahhabiyah, they had a creed that declared all the Muslims as kuffar, misguided, idol worshippers, and made their bloods lawful, and they killed thousands upon thousands upon thousands of Muslims. Learn your history. Don't be stupid. And I hate to use such strong words. We became slaves, and we are still in mental slavery and bondage because we forget history. We cannot be light about this stuff. What about the blood of them thousands and tens of thousands of Muslims that were killed at the behest of the enemies of Islam by those people? Are their blood insignificant? Are their lives and property that were plundered and looted and killed insignificant? Because someone had a corrupt belief that by consensus contradicted the belief of Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, we let it go. We say it's not important. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Really? But why do we do that? Ignorance. Ignorance, we don't know. And we refuse to learn. We refuse to be getting away from intellectual laziness. And we repeat the same cycle over and over and over and over again. As we do it in our worldly life, we do the same thing in our religious life, and we can't do that. This ain't a game. We had Islam in America, in the black community, for at least 100 years. Known the word Islam and Muslims, 100 years. And today, still 100 years later, we don't have one real scholar that we agree upon. Not one. And I'm not saying let's use some garbage criteria to judge scholarship. This is serious. They're at war against us. So we pass it off. Oh, we have our scholars, and we have this, and we don't have no determination what is scholarship. And everyone who studied know that this is not scholarship. But we're comfortable in our seats. So we don't want it to look like we got a long way to go. We do. We have made some progress, yes, but we got a long way to go. A long way to go. And if we don't get serious, we're going to pass this along to our children. We can't do it. No, we can't allow it to exist. I wish Imam Naim does us a favor. And is Imam Naim in there? I don't know if he's on or if his wife is on. He posted on his page, I don't remember when it was a while ago. He posted a letter from Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. In 1965, I think it was in January 1965. And I'm just telling you something. That was 55 years ago. 55 years ago. 55 years ago. He wrote a letter to some foreign organization and a person that was in that organization because they wanted him to come speak. And he complained about the lack of support and the lack of money and the condition of African Americans and their seriousness about their struggle and about their learning. And he was asking him because somebody else, I think it was in Jeddah or in Saudi Arabia, had promised to give him some money to help him do da'wah in America in the inner cities. And the guy never came through. And Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, was complaining about his condition. 55 years ago that was. And how the black people are not serious, the black Muslims, they're not serious enough about what they need to do in their learning and their struggle. And it's a long way to go. That was 55 years ago. Yesterday, we listened to Sheikh Abdul Karim and Sheikh Hamza, and you heard me talking about the same exact thing. Sheikh Hamza was explicit, and that's not, Sheikh Hamza's a very laid back person. That's not his style. He's very laid back, very calm. That's just the way he is. That's his nature. May Allah preserve him. But he said his hardest struggle is to get us to be serious about our affairs, to support our institutions. That's one of the most difficult struggles. That's the same thing Malcolm X said 55 years ago. 55 years ago. He's having the same exact conversation. How is that happening? There is something that we're not getting. 55 years. And it's still the same conversation. You can talk to almost every African-American imam, and I travel the country. I know most of them. I talk to a lot of them. It is the same situation. You go to the Masjid, it's the same situation. People are not learning like they should. They are in fun and game, entertainment. We can't afford it, brothers and sisters. And especially if you don't know your Aqidah, you don't know the belief of Islam well, you don't know Ahl-Sunnah well, you're going to be confronted with all types of kufr, all types of disbelief, all types of bad ideas, from the aspect of the Wahhabis, from the aspects of LGBT, from the aspects of atheism, from all aspects of the communism and all these crazy beliefs that among them all differ from Islam. And you don't know your Islam. Our teachers used to say to us, Al-Islamu haqq wa ma siwahu batil. Islam is the truth, and everything other than it is misguidance. I'm going to share something with you, Abdul Wali. And I want us to be careful of this. You made the statement, Tasawwuf is missing. That's my position, and I'm sticking to it. In Islam, if you read the books of Tasawwuf, and I'll share them with you and show you, all of the Sufis, before they traveled the path of Tasawwuf, they were people of sound Aqidah. They were people of sound fiqh before they touched Tasawwuf. This is a major problem among us, that we think I'm going to be a Sufi without learning the religion. You're going to go astray without learning the religion, talking about Tasawwuf. Imam Malik, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, and listen to this statement, I want us to pay attention. Imam Malik, he said, whoever practices at Tasawwuf without learning al-fiqh will corrupt himself, his religion, excuse me. And whoever practices fiqh without Tasawwuf, he will corrupt corrupt himself. It is he who joins between the two who has realized the reality. And the priority over the other is learning al-aqidah, al-fiqh, then tasawwuf. Why? Because al-fiqh is not valid without a sound aqidah. And tasawwuf cannot be practiced without sound adherence to the Sharia. You can't skip. We cannot skip. So stop telling people be Sufi. Tell them to learn a religion first, then travel to the science of Ihsan. The idea you're going to be teaching people tasawwuf, there are many tasawwuf who are kuffar. People who claim to be Sufis. Go in these white areas where they say I'm spiritual and I'm Sufi, and they are kuffar in their aqidah. You got Sufi organizations that have all kinds of crazy stuff going on with LGBT and everything, and it's a mess. And they saying I'm Sufi, I'm spiritual, I got tasawwuf. La ya habibi. Don't get misguided in this issue. I know many people who are in the path of tasawwuf, and they are kuffar. They have beliefs that by scholarly consensus is disbelief. You got people who Sufi and think that Allah is inside of them, that they get a union with Allah. You got people who say I'm Sufi, that I've reached a level that the Sharia doesn't apply to me. I don't have to pray. I've reached a level of the spiritual state. And I'm not saying that's you. I'm saying be careful. I'm not saying that's you as an individual. I'm saying be careful, because that's a narrative. We're spiritual. We don't need to learn. La, this is not Islam. This is not reality. Many people deviate, and this is a trend in the suburbs today. Many of them are busy doing dhikr and singing nasheeds, and they don't know their religion. This is a problem, because people are using tasawwuf as a business. Sufi sheikh to bring people to them, calling to them, and the people don't learn their deen. I just got a sheikh, and I do my dhikr, and I go to the mawlid, and that's it. La ilaha illallah. No, 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 no. None of the Sufis, none of the real scholars of tasawwuf. You read the book Al-Risalatul Kushayriyah, you read Al-Qawaid in tasawwuf of Ahmad Zarruq. None of them, rahimahumullah, none of them told you go practice tasawwuf without being a master in the belief and a master in the outward sciences. Let's be real, bro. Don't fool ourselves. Don't fool ourselves. Please don't. We have to learn. Don't skip that. Don't think you're going to spiritual your way out of learning your religion, out of being a real talibul ilm, a student of knowledge. And the people want, and Shaitan would like, for all of us to be a bunch of ignorant laymen. We don't all got to be scholars, but there's a certain portion of knowledge that everybody got to know. And we're not even at that level. Be honest. I want to ask you a question. Be honest. And be honest. How many of us, ask yourself, I don't need you to put in the thing, you be honest with yourself. How many of you have sat with a teacher and studied a book cover to cover? And how many books? Think about that. That's the traditional way to learn. How many of us have had the access and have actually did it? In the various sciences of the religion. And I'm talking about just our fard ayn. I'm not talking about details. This is serious because the traps, especially for Black people, are so many. There's so many traps. We gotta watch it. We gotta learn our deen. We have to have it in a way where we don't make these mistakes in the future. For our children's sake, please, please, please stop. I beg you, stop. Take time. Humble yourself. Sit down and learn. You heard Sheikh Abdul Karim yesterday. He went off. Why? Because these teachers are tired of doing everything they can to help you, and you just want to be a clown. And I hate to say it that way. Grow up. We men, women. We need real men and women. We cannot be children all our life. Fun and sport and amazement all the time. Enjoyment, enjoyment, enjoyment. No seriousness. And that's why we get what we get. That's why our children are the way they are. We don't take education seriously enough. And then we complain while the foreigners and the immigrants got all this and got all that. And we not working hard. And we know the cards are stacked against us as Black folk. We know it. It's real. They don't want us to succeed. And we help them by bull crapping all the time. It's not helping us. We gotta get serious. We have to. We have to. We have to get serious. And I'm saying this out of nothing but love. Seriously. Because I know myself, I'm watching. I'm getting old. I don't know how long I got left. And I don't know how many of us got that long left. We all getting ready to go out of here soon. And y'all gonna be left if we don't build and prepare the next generation. We're gonna be left with the same stuff. And we should say absolutely not. Absolutely not. We gotta be men. We gotta grow up. Seriously. And we can't just, I'm a man. No, you gotta put in the work of a man. You gotta put in the work. Not just I'm a man. A man, according to the Sufis, since we want to talk about tasawwuf, a man, according to the Sufis, is one who knows the rights of Allah upon him and he fulfills them with excellence. That's a man. The one who knows the rights of Allah upon him and he fulfills them with excellence. Ihsan. That's a man. Hada huwa rajul. That's a man. Not a dude who's a male, who's not carrying his weight in the masjid, in the community, in the society. That's not a man. That's a chunk. I'm just talking to you because all of us, I love you. Wallahi, I love you. And I've been around, I've seen it, and I'm saying we got work to do, and we gotta be serious. We gotta call each other up. We gotta pull each other up. And we can't keep playing with each other, being soft with each other. Nah, the enemy not playing. He ain't soft. He's working to destroy you night and day, and you bullcrapping. That's not gonna work. The enemies of Islam, they know Islam better than Muslims. Some of them, they study. They spend their time in the libraries memorizing books, memorizing the Quran, memorizing Hadith, perverting books, perverting the Quran, making their own interpolations in books of tafsir, in books of Hadith. The Wahhabis leaving out, editing books, changing the meanings, translating invalidly, and giving it to you, and you ain't doing no study, and you don't even know what's happening. There are people sitting back purposely to misguide you. And you're talking about Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, MashaAllah. Yeah, Alhamdulillah, MashaAllah. But we gotta work. We gotta struggle. We gotta learn. We gotta defend our deen. This is a job. This is a lifetime journey. And I don't apologize for my position in that, because hopefully you understand how serious this affair is. We losing our children. Ask how many of them single women in this audience, out in our communities, are saying, man, I wish I had a man around here. And while their boys are running amok and they're losing their daughters, and we, because of Wahhabism too, think that this stuff ain't a real affair. A lot of us are told, I just read my Quran and Sunnah at home. I don't got to put no energy. I don't got to learn. I don't got to do none of that. And I'm just chasing dunya. And we getting decimated. Yeah, I said it. I mean it. Because I'm watching. I've watched almost a half of century of Islam in this country. And I cry for my people. I cry for my people. And I'm saying to you, all of us, we need to give more of our effort, of our seriousness to this deen. We have to stop playing. Women don't want no boys. They want men. They don't want no boys. They've grown out of playing games with you. We need men to step up, because men's supposed to be the leaders. We need men to learn their religion. And trust me, there is no personal attack on anyone. I'm talking about the situation. And I'm included in that situation. So don't take it personal. Get the point for all of us. I'm included with you. We need to man up. I'm not doing enough. My family maybe say, what the hell is wrong with you? There's no more you can do. Nah, there's more I can do. Nah, we're at war. And at the war, every man, every able body got to give their all. That's where we at. You can't afford to play games. It's too daggone serious for you to be watching LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. We don't got time for that crap. That 2 hours, that hour and a half, you wasting, entertaining yourself, following kuffar. You need to open up a book and memorize something, and then go convey it and teach it. You need to be working on yourself, not wasting your time in front of that idiot box. You should learn about the scholars of Aqidah and tell me about these other clowns. You should learn about the scholars of fiqh and the scholars of tasawwuf and live how they lived. Come on, man. Knock it off. Seriously. I watch in the black communities. In my city, you watch these men. I'm talking about men. They say they're men. They haven't owned anything and built anything in their communities. Zilch. They've lost stuff. I'm talking about black men. They've lost masjids. What kind of men are you? Lost them, cannot fix them, cannot pay for them, and then get someone else to give them a token donation. Where's the manhood at? How you lose the masjid? You a chump. You ain't a man. I'm being honest. And you want a woman to respect you? Give me a break. Give me a break. But you ain't lose your swag, did you? You lost the masjid, but you still cool. What kind of man are you? But it comes from you not learning properly and learning that Muslim men who read the seerah of the Prophet, who lead, who follow the way of the Sunnah, who follow the Imams of Aqidah, the Imams of Fiqh, the Imams of Tasawwuf. They were men of Allah, not cowards who let their women and children lose the place where they worship. What kind of man are you? Give me a break. You don't even have a school for your children. A place for your children to learn, and you talking about you a man, you a chunk. You're not even working at it. You're talking. And I'm not talking about every single individual. I'm talking about too many of us. Not every person. But some people busting their butt. And it's a shame that one man has to try to do the work of hundreds of men, because most of the men are chumps. And this is serious talk. Because a lot of us act like we down. Y'all think, boy, let me slow down. A lot of you dudes, you young guys, y'all need to knock it off. Get yourselves together. Seriously. I try to stay Imam Amin, Sheikh Amin. I know a lot of y'all jokers are chumps. I know you. I know your states. I know y'all full of it. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Man to man. We can't afford, these people are serious. They're trying to decimate us. And I'm from the streets. I've did that stuff. I put it in. My name is well known. I put it in. And I'm telling you, that crap ain't where it's at. That ain't where it's at. You need to be building a nation. You need to be building for future generations in this deen. That's where your manhood is at. That's where you show your energy. That's where you show your strength. What are you putting in for this deen? Don't tell me what you're putting in for your nafs. That's junk. And it ain't lasting. Because soon as you get knocked, soon as a real hardship, most of you guys are going to start telling on each other anyway. Let's keep it real. And y'all don't even know what a soldier is, half like a soldier. And that's why our black community is running like it is, because it ain't many soldiers. When you got to get on that front line and really be a man, it's all rap. It ain't no real stuff. Rap, that's it. And it shows in our understanding of the deen. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ told us. The best of you in Jahiliyyah, in the time of ignorance, will be the best of you in Islam when you learn. The best of you in Jahiliyyah will be the best of you in Islam when you learn. If you were a real soldier in the street, you're going to be a super soldier in Islam. But if you were a chump in the street, you're going to be a chump in Islam. And that's real. That's real. And as I watch and as I look, I don't see no gangsters. I don't see too many soldiers. I see more soldiers and women than men in our community. And that should make you cry. I see more women who are diligent in learning this religion than men. I'm watching. And I'm saying to us as brothers, step it up, man. Step it up. And the first place you step it up is your deen. It's your knowledge of the religion. And in order to do that, you got to acquire a level of humbleness. You got to sit down and learn. And what we're trying to do is making it available to you. So you have no excuse. You have no excuse for not learning, because we're pointing you to the way of learning, showing you how to learn, telling you the books, taking the time to give it to you, so you have no excuse why you ain't handling your business. Oh, I'm way over time. I'm sorry. Allah. I hope you get my point. Don't take it personal, even if it is applied. Even if it applied to you, don't take it personal. I want you to think about beyond ourselves, all of us. Our children are at stake. Our grandchildren are at stake. Our great-grandchildren are at stake. Take it like that. Take it like that. He ain't talking about me. He's talking about if we don't make a change collectively, if we don't get serious, our children are going to become extinct. Put it that way. Don't take it personal. Even if it sounds personal, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Because if you take it personal, you ain't going to do nothing but get in your feelings and not take care of your business. Don't do that. Don't take it personal. I ain't talking to you personally. So no one take, even if I mentioned you and I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to us. I'm talking to us. Our community is on to be on our shoulders. Our shoulders, brothers. This is our responsibility. This is a debt that's on our necks. Don't take it personal. It's not personal. Any of you know me, I love my people. I love my people. Anyone who knows me know that I give my life to try to help us with this deen. My life, my wealth, my time, my family, whatever I got, I sacrifice it. You know I love you. You know that. You've watched me, not just on the internet. I just started doing this internet stuff. You know how much I'm into helping us get it. So don't take it personal. Let's get it. Let's do what we got to do. Let's get the knee off our necks. But it ain't going to happen if we don't get this deen right. If we don't get this deen right, we don't stand a chance. Forget about it. We're going to get wiped out. So please, inshallah, please, 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 learn your aqidah. Learn your belief. And we're going to do whatever we got to do to strengthen it. Because it's part of our belief while we're falling so short. And we may not realize it. It's connection. Let me go back and take some of these questions quickly. Allah, I tried to keep things within an hour, but subhanAllah, I sometimes I don't sleep at night when I think about our conditions. Got work to do. And what happens is because we don't take it serious, we don't do the work. We belittle the value of the things we need to do. And it shows in the end result. Allah, questions. Look for the questions in order, inshallah, and give them to me. Allah. I need your help, Imam. I run an Islamic center, and my partner is Wahhabi. I keep asking you this on what should I do? We have a gold mine. Sheikh Samir has been there. You know this already, but we need help. And I'm there to try to help, Habibi, but we're fighting on so many grounds. If you could spend one day with me, you would understand what I'm talking about. Bro, I don't sleep. I get very little sleep, very little. Habib Umar, he used to say in his dua, oh Allah, bless us in the little bit of sleep. When you're in this, bro, it looked like I don't waste my time. I'm not playing games. I'm either teaching, studying, trying to help. I got community. I'm not one of those imams who just sit in the mosque. I got community affairs. I got children running the street. I got a bunch of stuff on my back. And I got to go make money too. I got to raise not only my own family, I got to take care of the masjid. I got to pay for that too, because we don't spend enough money on our own. And if we don't have men who bust their home, we're going to lose another masjid. So understand, bro, I'll give you all I can, but I'm only one person. And that's why I say memorize, stop playing, memorize so I can make you a teacher. If I can get the time to make you a serious student and stop being all over the place, us as people, because we want to do everything. No, do this. Here, memorize this, study this, let's go to this. We're going to move to this. We're going to move to this. Then after a time, you'll be able to handle that stuff yourself. I'll make you into a teacher, inshallah. But if you're wasting time all over the place, I can't do it. I'm talking about for nobody, and I'm talking about not you directly. I can't do it. I need real students. Didn't you hear Sheikh Hamza said, I don't want somebody who we're just trying to get rid of. This ain't a boarding school. This ain't a reform school. I need to build teachers. I need serious people. And he's starting at 15 years old. Kids, because he's thinking about tomorrow. We can't spend our time entertaining. So if I find, I'm not talking about you directly, if I find a student who's serious, go ask those teachers that we helped produce. They were serious and they're teachers now. We don't got to do nothing. They teaching. They're teaching. They're on the front lines spreading the knowledge. And you're on the front lines, I know you. You are working. But I'm saying, let's be more disciplined in our studies. Don't come to the teacher with what you want. Get what he has to give because he has the experience and he knows what he's doing. Right? We're not struggling with the issue of Wahhabism. We've silenced Wahhabism in our area. They exist, but they don't talk. They exist, but they don't talk. They stay in their corners. You know all that aggressive Wahhabi business? We don't have that in Atlantic City. We will refute them and explain their misguidance and shut them up. We don't have that problem in Atlantic City. And we're surrounded by Wahhabis, but we don't have that problem at all. Why? We know our deen and they know it. We know our creed. We're not ignorant Sufis. We know the methodology of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah very well with an unbroken chain to the Prophet. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. We're not compromising with Wahhabis about nothing. We're not doing that. So if you want to learn that way, follow its path, which is step by step by step. And it's not a microwave learning. It's going to be slow cooked in the hot pot. And when you're finished, you're going to be a soldier for Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. I promise you that, bi'idhnillah. Naam, go ahead. Here, translating the attributes of Allah is problematic. Why? Because the meanings of Arabic terms have meanings that are not equivalent sometimes to English terms. So literally translating the attributes of Allah, according to my teachers, is not permissible. Though, with that being said, I understand that some people are not strong in the area of Aqidah and they don't understand the significance of these matters. So they may literally translate. In this case, what I tell them, even if you literally translate, which you should not do, but if you do, please add the explanation that this in no way is resembling Allah in any way to anything in the creation, and what you imagine in your mind, Allah is different from that, at minimum. But I suggest when you talk about the attributes of Allah, that you don't attribute limbs and organs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah knows best. Allah. Inshallah, I need to go look at the verse, and inshallah, maybe tomorrow I can discuss it with you. At this time, I'm not even, the verse is not coming to my mind, nor I should look at the books of tafsir, not from my own side. Go ahead. In other words, I don't know. I'm not afraid to say I don't know. I don't know. I should go check. And I should ask if I cannot get more. Now, yeah, so Joshua Perez asked a similar question about translating the sifat of Allah. And believe me, this has nothing to do with Ash'ari students, right? Books of the Ash'ari were translated by people. People, depending upon their strength in learning the issues of Aqidah, going to translate differently. So that's why I try to teach you, and let me share this with you. There is a movement, and I don't think it's a conscious movement. It's just a trick to remove you from classical Islamic scholarship so that we don't know Islamic scholars. And we're replacing classical trained scholars, historically accepted scholars, with modern scholars who are nowhere at their level. And when I say modern scholars, I use that word loosely. That's what they call themselves. So I'll say, okay, you call yourself a scholar. In Islam, in the fields of Islamic study, were experts. And the people that today, they don't compare. As Sheikh Shuaib Arnaout mentioned in a beautiful statement, when he talked about those great mujtahids, imams like Abu Hanifa, Malik, and Shafi, and the like, and Ahmed, and the like, he said any one of them could have taken 15 of today's scholars and put them in his pocket. 15 of today's scholars and put them in his pocket. There's no compare. No compare. When we say An-Nawawi or Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani or al-Bayhaqi or as-Suyuti or any of those great scholars of that like, we don't have people in our time like that anymore. And if there are some, you can count them on your hands. So when we say sheikh and this scholar and female scholars, that stuff is extremely relative to who you're talking to. So let's not fool ourselves. Imam Amin is not a sheikh if you thinking sheikh like An-Nawawi or those. No, we are nowhere near that. We're not even 5% of them in knowledge. Seriously, not myself, not Sheikh Abdul Karim, not Sheikh Yahya, not Sheikh Aisha. We're not 5% of one of them. And they know it. I'm not putting them down. I'm being modest, giving us 5%. We don't compare in Islamic knowledge to these people. So don't think and know what we said and so said. Or a Shafi'i said, and there's no comparison. No comparing the two. Absolutely not. And you need to understand that. That's very important. And all you got to do is study their lives and study who they studied with and study their levels, and you will get that. Inshallah, I'll take one more question, then I'll stop. What is the issue with Wahhabi and expression of Allah's kalam? They say Ash'ari's believes. You said you would come back to that question. Simple. The Wahhabi belief, which is an anthropomorphic belief, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speech is letters and sounds. Harf wa sawt, right? Letters and sound. It is clearly mentioned in their book. They misinterpret some hadith that relate to sawt, and they say that Allah has a voice or a sound or letters. According to the agreement of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, as Imam Tahawi mentioned, Allah is attributed with eternal speech that does not consist of letters, languages, and sound. What you see in the Mus'haf of the Arabic language, or in the Torah in Hebrew, or in the Injil in Syriac, are expressions of the kalam of Allah, but they are not the attribute of the self of Allah in terms of letters, languages, and sound. So that's why when the Wahhabis talk about the kalam of Allah, even when they talk about Arabic language, when they meet books of the Arabic language, they add, and it's not even the science of Aqidah. When Al-Ajurumiyya mentions, when it's mentioned about Al-Kalam, huwa laftun muraqabun mufidun bil-waj'i, they're talking about speech, Al-Kalam. You will see in the footnotes of Wahhabi editions, they say that Allah's speech is letters and sound. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Even in the Arabic language books, they pervert in Aqidah. It doesn't even have nothing to do with Aqidah. It's talking about the formation of language. And they put that blasphemous belief that Allah got letters and sounds. A'udhu billah. That's the answer to that. Inshallah, let me stop. May Allah forgive me and overlook if I was a little bit too harsh in my speech. But really, I'm I realized something, that we need to work on this issue of Aqidah. Not everybody's going to do it. Somebody has to take on this banner, and somebody in our community gotta spread this knowledge, because we're getting killed in this area specifically, because we're not taking it serious. Everybody's trying to brush it off because we didn't want to learn, and we don't want, and I understand you don't want conflict and confrontation. Nobody wants that. But that's the nature. That's the nature of da'wah. You're going to come against ideas that contradict Islam, and you got to answer them. May Allah help us. Wa sallallahu alayhi Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Barakallahu fikum wa jazakum Allahu khairan.